From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is The Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, Jeff Cesario. With Gina Grad on news, Paul Bryan on sound effects, and Ami Horowitz calls in for a report from Occupy City Hall in New York. And now, never silent and definitely deafening, Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on. Mandate. Get it on. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for sharing. We love that about you. Good day, Gina Grad.
Good day to you.
Handball, Brian.
I farted.
Underused.
We're going to play a little birthday game in a second, which Sheck pointed out to me when we were doing a Good Sports, which will air tomorrow as you hear this, but he pointed out his birthday, who he shared a birthday with.
Oh, famous birthdays.
And then he said, who do you share a birthday with? And I said, I don't really know because it's not really my thing, but
Yeah.
but there's a few familiar names that you'll hear along your life. Do you have Shecks, by the way, Max Zapata? Or do you have to find that?
I have to find Shecks.
Find Shecks, just to kind of give an A and a B and a jumping off point. And then I thought to myself, we should get everyone's birthday around here and find out who has the best birthday. Now, there's going to be, some of this is going to be open to interpretation, but I want to know, this birthday is a cocktail party. Which one would you rather attend?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Who's there? And I know there's going to be some Hitlers and some Stalins in there, is what I'm saying. But I think, let's just define it as a cocktail party.
What?
Everyone has 5 or 8 famous people. What party would you like to attend?
I love this idea, but can we factor in the negative? Like if there's a Hitler or a Stalin, that would affect my desire to go to your cocktail party.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, when you hear who's invited to my party, then you'll know. But Shecks, let's do Shecks first.
All right, Sheck is June 11th. And at his party, Shia LaBeouf will be there. Peter Dinklage.
Oh.
Hugh Laurie.
Oh.
Gene Wilder's making an appearance.
Yeah, dead or
That'd be
alive,
hard to beat.
they're there,
That'd be
yeah.
hard to beat. Yeah.
Joe Montana and Henry Hill.
All right.
He's got my vote.
Wow.
Fantastic.
All right. Now let's see. But wait, maybe you'd like to attend my party. Brian.
You're going to beat Joe Montana and Gene Wilder?
Well, you don't know. We don't know. Some of you may beat his cocktail party.
That's
Who's at my party, Max Pata?
All right, at your party, Adam, you have Henry Kissinger.
All right.
Okay.
Jada Kiss, it's a rapper.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Jeff Bagwell,
The baseball
Bags.
player.
player.
All right.
Hall of Famer.
All right. That's something.
You have Richard Schiff, the actor.
Love Richard Schiff. He's been on
I
the
like
show.
him. Yeah, he's a good guy.
But if you're selling a cocktail party, you can't go, that guy from the West Wing.
You know, the lawyer from Seven.
Right. Sorry.
You have Vincent Price,
Ooh.
Too bad.
Paul Bettany,
Okay.
Yeah, now we're talking
Yeah.
vision.
Brilliant mind.
Otto Carius, a German lieutenant during World War II.
Oh, no.
Adam likes that party.
Lottie Tauberentz, a German overseer of.
Wait a minute. There's a name on there that I know I recognize. I don't know why.
you have Andre 3000.
Oh, rapper. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you
That's
probably
some
don't have
cred.
to bring up the German
Okay.
guys from World War I. This guy was he was the fifth most famous Prussian at one point.
Right.
Yeah, Max, go ahead and pass the names we've never heard of.
Gotcha.
All right. Sorry. I
He
should have
didn't
defined
kill Archbishop Ferdinand, but he okayed the deal.
I should have defined this a little more clear when I said 5 or 8 of the famous ones. So you're not finding the name that I'm thinking of.
No, I don't have that.
Where's Todd Bridges?
Todd Bridges?
Oh.
You're not-
That's come up for years.
yeah.
I don't have that one. No.
All right. Well,
Why
this game's-
don't I?
Why don't you have that one? I don't know. I don't know how it works. Are there a bunch of different websites?
I guess.
I don't know. All right. Well, we got to make sure we got our names on there. So it was funny. I was approaching this from a comedic standpoint, as I sometimes attempt to do.
I'm learning a lot.
And I knew that Shaq had all these cool names on his thing. And so the name I was thinking of comedically is we're going to have to now balance that against Todd Bridges from Different Strokes,
Sure.
which I was aware of. So that was the punchline to this joke the whole time. So I was like, do Sheck first and then do mine. So I thought, but Todd Bridges, my punchline never came up on my list, even though when I did it with Sheck, it was right on the list. I don't know how
I wasn't here when you did it with Shaq. So
I understand that, but how do the lists vary that much? Like,
I don't. Kalen is the one who put this list together. I don't mean to throw him under the bus or anything, but he didn't know who Todd Bridges was. So
right, but
that's a Shonda.
But he knew all the German guys from World War
I.
I.
When we talked about it, when I talked about it with the guys from Good Sports, they said, "Oh, Adam wants range." So Kalen thought, "Okay, I got to put range into this."
Yeah, but remember I talked to you on the phone and I said,
"Yeah,
just
that
put
was
the
4
best.
minutes ago after the list was already made." So that's
No, that was a half hour ago, but the list was made.
absolutely was not a half hour ago.
Oh, it was. I called you. Well, I called you at 20 minutes before the show started.
Okay,
Okay.
Either way, Todd Bridges has some great stories.
No, but what I'm saying is
He's had
first
some
off,
tough times.
let's not base anything on what Kalen knows and what Kalen doesn't know. If there's a name on the list, it's because the person is considered famous. If Kalen goes, I don't know that person, that means that's on Kalen, that the person made the list because they're notable people from the birthday, right?
yeah, you're right. It was my bad. I will.
There may have been some confusion on the word range only because I first thought like you want range in your group, but no, you want range between Sheck and you. I assume that's what
Yeah,
you meant.
well, it started off with range in your own group, and then I later modified it into I just want each group, like whose group is the strongest or weakest group. But anyway, Todd's not going to sway my group one way or the other. It's a weak sampling. There's no doubt about it. I'm just saying comedically, it's insane that the only name I remember is Todd Bridges, and Kalen saw fit not to put it on your list, which is weird. But Kalen shouldn't be editorializing quite that much.
It's my bad.
Sees a B-list actor on there. Put it on.
Yeah,
Throw 'em in.
you're right. I
Okay.
agree.
All right. So that's the game, even though I didn't pull that one off that cleanly. But clearly, Sheck, his cocktail party's quite a bit ahead of my cocktail party.
Indeed.
Yeah, I can't think of anyone that shares my birthday. I think Bin Laden was killed on my birthday, and that's about all I know.
That counts.
We
Oh,
looked,
I have
sweet.
Gina's list.
we
Oh.
looked it up. So what's Gina's list?
Gina's born May 1st. Mm-hmm. She has John Woo, the director of Face Off.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we're talking.
Wes Anderson,
Oh.
Oh,
Eclectic director list.
another Wes. Wes Welker,
Wow.
who's Wes
Football player,
Welker?
football
Oh, okay.
Tim McGraw,
Okay.
All right. This party's going to have some singing.
Theo Van Gogh, the younger brother of Vincent Van Gogh,
Wow. I bet he has some dish.
and Glenn Ford, actor Glenn Ford.
All right.
Who's Glenn Ford?
You don't know who actor Glenn Ford is?
No, let me see.
He's a Western guy?
Yeah, he's a director too. I think he was a director.
That's John Ford.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
Glenn Ford may have been
Yeah.
a director, but I think the famous
Yeah.
Western director is John Ford.
Glenn Ford's a pretty famous actor.
I'm cool
back
with
in the
my
day.
list.
All right, it's decent. It's somewhere in between me and Sheck. It's a little lackluster. We got Brian.
Yeah,
Adam, you made the point that like this shouldn't be important to a person, and the last time I really looked, I was probably in my early 20s. All I remember is Ben Savage from Boy Meets World. So let's see if anyone
Oh, boy.
has gotten famous in the ensuing 2 decades.
Oh, that's true. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, it's an ever-changing list.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy who was born on May 27th, who shares my birthday, may be fixing to assassinate the president tomorrow. Or
true.
he could have the #1 selling album in the world tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, who knows what he is?
What are the chances he assassinates the president the same day he gets a #1 album?
No, I'm saying different guy.
Oh, okay. Because that doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, sorry. I should have been clear. All right, go ahead.
All right, Brian was born September 13th. We have Tyler Perry
Oh,
All
there
right.
you go.
Street cred.
and Mitt Romney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
That's
covered
great.
all my bases.
James Taylor's there.
Nice.
Wow.
Daryl Strawberry's hanging out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Liza Minnelli.
That's
Oh my
a good
God,
party.
wow.
Gina, you're invited.
Thank you.
And novelist Roald Dahl.
Oh my
Roald
God.
Dahl.
I want
Yeah.
Brian's birthday.
That one I did know. I'd forgotten about that one. Yeah.
That's a
Roald
great
Dahl.
party.
All right, who should we do next? Let's do Dawson. Do we have Dawson?
All right, Dawson and Emmy both share birthday March 12th.
All right.
So Emmy has Mike Dawson.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
All right, let me. Oh, you know what? The pages were mixed up. So Brian, I got to read you your birthday. Brian, Brian's birthday was Roald Dahl, Tyler Perry, Fiona Apple, Jeff Ross, and Matt Patricia.
Oh,
And Dawson and Emmy
that's
actually
a
have.
little weaker, yeah.
Dawson and Emmy actually have Daryl Strawberry,
And James Taylor.
James Taylor,
Oh.
James Taylor's the one I knew.
Mitt Romney,
And Liza Minnelli.
and then Liza Minnelli, Aaron Eckhart, and John Andretti.
I think I'm going to go to Emmy and Dawson's party.
Hey, Max Banna.
Yeah.
Don't these things just read the person's name and then like 5 names under that person?
Well, these are on multiple pages, so they weren't separated. Like the next page is a continuation of the last name. So
Okay.
I know.
Just get them formatted,
I sh-
right?
I sh-
Just
yeah,
put the
you're right.
person's name and then put 5 names under that person and then put a space
I agree.
or a number or something. I think
Brian,
there are
what a
ways to
huge
do this. Or
disappointment
even
for
a
you.
line or something.
Yeah, that would have been.
All right.
deal.
You want to talk to Ami and pick this up? Or wait, so then what did I ask? Oh, Emmy and Dawson.
That
So
was Emmy and
Dawson's
Dawson.
already got. All right, let's do one more. Let's do you.
All right. For me, I have Adam Driver.
Oh.
See, that's a good point. So that's the kind of
Strong.
thing that if you would have checked
Yeah.
5 years ago, might not have
But
made the
that guy
cut.
from Girls.
Yeah. See, everyone's stock is like floating around, right? So that guy from Girls, big whoop versus now, right? Okay.
Kylo Ren.
Jodie Foster,
Wow. This is a strong start.
Meg Ryan,
Oh, wow.
Jack Dorsey, Larry King,
That's
Oh.
interesting. That's a decent.
yeah, and
Eclectic
Calvin Klein's
mix.
there too.
Calvin Klein?
Yeah,
Oh, well, put that in the main body.
He's buying.
Yeah. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby. I
I'll
don't.
take it.
I don't think it's Shaq. I think Shaq's still the leader in the clubhouse. We can keep looking.
Chris, just from glancing at your pages and pages and pages of lists, does anyone have one that jumps out as like, wow, that's amazing? That you haven't read.
Mike August has an extensive list. He was born
Of
May
course
13th. He has Alfred Hitchcock, Fidel Castro,
Wow.
DeMarcus Cousins, Harvey Keitel, Stevie Wonder,
Wow.
Dennis Rodman,
Wow.
Stephen Colbert, Pusha T, Lena Dunham, Robert Pattinson.
Wow.
That's
right.
real strong.
So what you're looking for, as I think about it, there's like that tequila commercial that has like Abe Lincoln and Chuck Berry. They keep running this like tequila commercial. They have all these impersonators. Like you're at a party where Abe Lincoln's over here and the woman who invented the printing press or whatever her name is. That Madame Curie's here and Chuck Berry's up on stage. Like if you picture that commercial, and I can't remember what tequila it is. It's a tequila commercial that they play a lot, like on ESPN. I think the measuring stick is that commercial is our party. Who would you like in that commercial? All right, Ami is on hold. Just got back from Occupy City Hall. He's in New York, is he?
That's right.
What's going on? And we'll ask Ami Horowitz. Ami does a lot of funny videos and is a fun guy. He's been on the show a few times. YouTube channel. Ami Horowitz is where you go. Subscribe to his channel. Ami, thanks for joining us, by the way. If you can unmute you.
Pleasure. Yes, how's that?
Good. How's it? So you're in New York now.
Yes.
And what's going on with the Occupy in New York?
It's pretty insane, to be totally honest. Look, it's this whole the media malpractice on this thing is absolutely insane, right? I've read article this morning about how peaceful these people are, how they just want to cut back some police funding to move some money around. It's a bunch of crap, okay? I got down there and the thing got violent very, very quickly. I started filming. The initial idea of why I went down there was I wanted to to see if they had real fidelity to their beliefs about taking down statues for people who own slaves. Right? That's kind of the idea. We want to take down George Washington, Jefferson, because they own slaves. Right? They have no fidelity to our founding ideals, but let's see if they actually have any kind of real grounding on their belief of no slaves. So I said, okay, let's sign a petition to get rid of the George Washington Monument in D.C. And of course, they all signed it. And then I said, well, there's a monument to Muhammad in Minneapolis who also owns slaves. You want to take that down? And they didn't want to take that down, not for 1 second. So clearly it's not about owning slaves. It's about an ideology, about their hatred for the West. But soon after they got the picture, this was kind of like me goofing on them. We had a hidden camera. It got very, very ugly, and it got violent super quick.
There is a monument or a statue of Muhammad in Minneapolis, did you say?
No, there actually isn't one. I just kind of made it up. Oh, you made it up. I made it up.
Oh, it worked on me.
See that?
Punch him, Adam.
I never saw that monument. Did you get attacked?
Yeah. So they all kind of surrounded me. Once they realized kind of what I was trying to do, they all surrounded me and began chanting at me. They love chanting, man. They're super into chanting. They started chanting, put the phone down, throw him out. He hates Islam, a bunch of crap like that. And then they physically grabbed me, grabbed my phone, threw my phone, started punching me. And as I grabbed the phone back off the floor, they physically grabbed me and threw me out. And that was all she wrote.
So how's their efforts going? I didn't even know this was afoot. I didn't even know this was going on. I just heard about it through Chris. Did you guys all? Obviously Ami was aware of it. Brian, Gina?
No.
Aware of it, not making headlines on the coast as far as our news outlets and the sources that we go to.
So where are they, and how many folks approximately are there?
So they're right on the park that's adjacent to City Hall, right? It's called Occupy City Hall. I think they kind of got this, and again, it's a no cop zone. So they kind of modeled it a little bit after the Chop Chaz kind of autonomous zone, although they don't have blocks, they have a park that they're occupying. I would say there's probably around 400 people there at least, maybe 500 people at this point. They're kind of packed into a smaller area because I was at Chaz Chop as well. Also got very uncomfortable and violent. Obviously, people were killed there. I see this going in the same direction, but they essentially are. They claim they want to defund the police, but the reality is they want to abolish the police. Everybody there, all the signage talks about shooting police, killing police, F the police. It's very much an abolish the police vibe that you're getting. Anti-capitalist, anti-Western, anti-Semitic. It's funny. You look at the list; they have a list of demands, and obviously. Abolishing the police is one of them. Getting rid of the judicial system is another one. And then, of course, Free Palestine somehow found its way into that list of stuff they want to do. It's kind of weird when they like to focus on the one Jewish state, which has nothing to do with any of the things they're trying to deal with, which makes me kind of wonder what their agenda is really about.
I always think if I was in charge of any group, whether it was Black Lives Matter or PETA, when they started getting into, hey, killing a cockroach is you're just the same as Hitler, I would say we may think that, but let's not put it on the charter because it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt our cause a little bit. And my feeling with the Black Lives Matter is they may think that, they may feel that, but I would keep it off the official page because I feel like it's hurting. It's diluting your cause here. Ami, is it possible that you're 67 years of age?
It's not. It's possible. But who knows when I was really born? I wasn't really aware of it, but I'm pretty sure I'm not 67 years old. Yeah. Well, if I do, I look pretty good.
Hey, Max Bad, you gotta check Kalen's work.
Yeah,
I think it's the theme that's rolling today.
By the way, it may be Wikipedia that says that Wikipedia has a lot of false stuff about it.
That's good.
He was doing so good before today.
He was on a roll.
He really was.
Well, how old are you, Ami? Just because I'll write it in here too next to your name.
47.
That makes sense. It's an even.
From North Hollywood, baby.
It's an even number.
Oh.
Are you from North Hollywood? I know
I'm a self-hating Valley person.
We've talked about this before. I was literally sitting with my mom in North Hollywood an hour ago explaining that the San Fernando Valley, it's such a large area and it has no comedy clubs in it. Like there's no theaters and comedy clubs. Like there's no culture. And it's now the Hispanic culture, but formerly it had no culture. It's like the largest culture-free zone. Maybe there's parts of Florida, maybe. But I mean, at least they got like Kid Rock over there. Like there's no culture in the Valley. Where'd you go? Grant, North Hollywood High?
I went to Grant for a year, and I went to a Valley Torah High School for the other 3 years. Probably the Valley is a dead zone of sadness. That's why there's nothing there.
It is. I find it more depressing than almost any place I've ever been in terms of I walked through my dad's old neighborhood in South Philly, and it's poor and it's dilapidated and it's broken down and it's bad, but it has some personality to it. You know what I mean? Like a little architecture, a little sort of vibrance or something to it. Like there's something going on. The Valley, and I'm with you, I grew up in the Valley too. Like it's just stucco boxes and people walking around with their head down, and there's just it's like a void of culture. I'd rather have sort of bad culture than zero culture. The Valley's like every building was built in 1974. Every aluminum slider windows, bad apartment buildings, nothing. It's like you could talk about parts of the South that were dicey or dangerous or whatever, but at least it has some architecture or some
character, some
food that they were good at, you know?
I'd rather live in Afghanistan.
Yes. Why do we hate it so much?
It's the same thing when there's a lot of self-hatred if you're a Jewish person. There's a lot of self-hatred that exists in the world. It's Valley self-hatred. That's what it is. Because we look right across, you can almost touch LA, West Hollywood, right? It's right there. And it's like so awesome there. The food is great. The people are great. The culture is great. I love it there, man. And it's so close, yet so far away. And you just look at yourself like, why couldn't my family have enough money to have lived, even in Fairfax, man? I would have taken that, but no.
Yeah.
Or now Valley Village.
You could have been yeah. I was, again, sitting in my mom's backyard an hour ago contemplating this, but it's not her backyard. It's her mom's backyard because we had 3 miniature houses all in North Hollywood. One was sold and torn down 5 years ago, and the other we're just sort of riding it out in. But I wonder if it's an advantage. Do you think it's an advantage? Here's an interesting concept. Ami, I don't know what your father did. Obviously, he's long past, you being 67 years of age. He must have died. He must have died in the mid 80s. But the one thing I'm thankful about with my parents and my lack of upbringing is I know I'm doing exactly what I want and should be doing. I know that I didn't go into my dad's business. You know, two of my best buddies are Dr. Drew and Mark Garagos, but Dr. Drew's dad was a doctor and Mark Garagos' dad was an attorney. So in a way, they're kind of following in their dad's footsteps. And who's to say if Mark Garagos would have found his way to law or Drew would have found his way to medicine. But because my parents didn't do anything and they never told me anything and they never structured anything, I feel like I'm doing exactly what I was put here to do because I wasn't bred to do anything. And maybe there's an advantage from coming from the San Fernando Valley where, like, you hear about all these, you know, you come from Kentucky, you go to work at the coal mine, you grow up in Pittsburgh, you go to the steel factory, at least back in the day. You know, it's a Bruce Springsteen song or a John Mellencamp song. The one freedom of growing up in the valleys, there is no anything. You just drift into whatever you're doing. What did your dad do, Ami?
My dad was a hand tools salesman. He sold hand tools. My mother was a teacher, so I was definitely not following in either of their footsteps. But I had to claw my way out of the valley because you're right. There's a lot of like the pressure is to kind of just go with the flow, go to Valley College, go to CSUN, kind of do your thing. And no, for the moment, man, I became cognizant of my surroundings. I'm like, I got it. It's like, kids who grew up in the South Bronx. You need to get out of there. That was my South Bronx, the Valley. I had to get and claw my way out of there.
What was the first? So for you, what was the journey like? I'm interested because what you do now for a living didn't exist when they were having career day at Grant High School, and what I do for a living, and what Gina does some terrestrial radio, but I mean, it's what I do for a living didn't exist either when I was a kid or young. So it's kind of hard to get from here to there when there isn't there yet. You know what I mean? What was your beginning moves?
So I have become adept at doing things that I have no business doing. So my first job out of college, I went to USC. My first job out of college was to manage a campaign for state controller of Maryland. Having literally zero experience in politics, some dope hired me to run his campaign for state controller of Maryland. So I had no idea what I was doing.
Wait, what year did you graduate?
1994.
Oh, well, you were 47 at the time, so maybe he wanted the experience, the savvy,
older, gray hair,
salt and pepper, right. Steady hand, been there, done that. Sorry.
That's exactly right. So I ran that campaign. We ran against a 42-year incumbent, the second longest tenure in the history of the United States of a guy who won office. When he died, this guy, they put him in state. Like Stalin,
wow.
like Lenin, right. in the Maryland State House. So after we lost that campaign, obviously we lost that campaign. I was like, okay, what do I do now? And the guy who I worked for, the guy running, was an old Goldman Sachs banker. So he goes, we should probably make money. I'm like, oh great, how do you make money? He goes, be an investment banker. I'm like, I don't even know what that is. He goes, just go to Wall Street and find a job. I was like, okay. So that's all the advice he gave me. So I went to Wall Street and I just slept on people's couches. And I just kept calling random investment banks that I looked up in the phone book, not knowing what investment banking was, had no idea. And because it wasn't the internet, like internet wasn't really like a thing then, so you couldn't really research it there to find out what was going on. But I was able to I've always been able to talk my way into things. And I talked my way into a job. I spent about 15 years on Wall Street.
Wow.
And then decided I wanted to make movies for no particular reason. And again, no experience, never made a film before, never took a film class, and quit my job. I made a movie called You and Me, which was, for a documentary, pretty successful. Unlike your doc, we got into a bunch of film festivals.
Sick burn.
Don't want to rub it in there.
Fired.
Hey, Ami, let me just drill down on one thing that I know you've done in a lot of your filmmaking, like earlier today. You've thrust yourself into pretty dangerous situations. I think you went with some refugees on a boat ride. I'm trying to think of which refugees you went with.
It wasn't a boat. It was the Syrian refugees crossing the Aegean from Turkey to Greece on these little, maybe like 25-foot rubber dinghies.
Right. So
into open sea.
Right. So you have done. You have put yourself in a lot of danger, and you've done a lot of things that most people won't do and shall never even consider doing. And there's a kind of a mindset that you get sort of half credit for, because some of it is just a pure wiring. And I'll tell you, I thought about it yesterday. I was driving home. My sister called and said, hey, can we do X, Y, and Z this coming weekend? I said, I'm going to be in Tempe, Arizona at the Improv doing 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. And she went, you're going to Arizona? And I said, yeah. And she goes, oh my God, it's a hot zone over there. And I said, oh yeah. And she went, you're still going? And I said, yeah. And she said, aren't you scared? And I said, I hadn't thought about it. And she went, oh, but you should be concerned. And I went, I'm not, but I don't know. I'm not saying I shouldn't be concerned. I'm just saying I'm not. I don't think about it. And then she did about a third lap. And then I said, can we wrap this up? Because I'm going anyway. I appreciate it. I will put your concern mask on as I leave for the airport. But it struck me that I wasn't being stoic. I just didn't think about it. I didn't care about it, or there's something wrong with me. But might you suffer from that same sort of disorder?
Affliction.
Yes, there's some, and I know we all know people that are overly concerned or too the other way. Were you just always that way? Because you're throwing you're pretty diminutive dude. You're almost a senior citizen.
What?
You're going to be a senior citizen in 3 years, and you throw yourself in these crazy situations. So, are you taking a shot of whiskey and washing down a Valium, or are you just wired that way? And have you always been wired that way?
So I do have fear. Like before I do something like or put myself in a situation where I know it could be potentially dangerous. You of course, look, your body does not want to do it, and your body is almost physically trying to stop you from it, and you have to almost literally put one foot after the other to go ahead and do it. You have to overcome the fear. I've become good at overcoming the fear. Bravery and stupidity are two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm clearly on the stupid side of the coin versus the brave side. Once you're in the situation and it gets hot and it gets dangerous, that's when the adrenaline just kicks in, and you don't think about the fear at that point. You think about getting what you need to get and then extricating yourself out of the situation as soon as humanly possible.
But were you always a bit of, I was a daredevil when I was a kid.
Yes.
When I was a kid, I just was a complete and utter daredevil. If there was a roof of an apartment and a swimming pool somewhere, 3 stories, I was over the top of that thing into that swimming pool. 10 foot of cement patio had to be cleared sometimes. Make sure you hit the deep end. And that's what I was in. That's the way I rolled. And so was it that with you as a kid?
Yes. As a kid, I was the same way. I loved climbing cliffs, jumping off of roofs, like you said. I was really always into that. And again, it wasn't like I was looking for it necessarily, but if it was there, I would do it. And certainly if my friends are doing it, your mom says, well, if your friends jump off the bridge, would you jump off the bridge? The answer is usually like, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what we did with the Mulholland Club into the swimming pools. Like, yeah, that's what my friends did. That's what we all did. I don't know.
Yeah, like you remember the Wash in North Hollywood on Burbank,
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So like, there was the railroad tracks that kind of crossed it. So we would always, and we'd always like grab on the edge of the bottom of that, of the train tracks. You had like a handhold, just kind of go across the Wash, which probably had a 40-foot drop if you fell across. And that was like a good way to show how, stupid you were.
Yeah, God, it's so weird. And I also realized, like, I have a son, I have a daughter. They're twins. From the time they could sort of walk, my daughter would have told the story, but it's been a while. We'd get in the bedroom. I had a bed that stood, good 30 inches off the ground. She'd get running and she'd launch herself at me, flying 8 foot through the air, and I'd just catch her before she, ate shit on the carpet. And she'd always want me to move further back. My son, my knees had to be touching the bed before he would come to me. Now you can talk about society all you want, or mama's influence, or daddy's influence, or, well, daddy, you race cars. But how did those kids get that way so early, like their very first feelings and thoughts? And the answer is that's how they're wired. Why is it the girl and not the boy? No fucking idea. That's my...
Look, you learn when you have kids the power of nature over nurture. Nature wins over nurture every single time. I got 2 daughters. It was God's joke on me. He was like, look, you treated women. I saw the way you treated women your whole life. I'm going to give you 2 daughters. As
well, they got to be in their 40s by now, right?
they're old hags.
I keep going with this joke.
So I wanted boys. It's well known in my family. I wanted boys, but I had girls. God bless them. I love them to death. But I would always give them guns and trucks and baseballs and footballs, and they rejected. And this is when their whole world was me. They didn't really have an outside influence. It wasn't like they weren't going to school. They were at home all day as infants, and they would always take the doll, always take the Barbie over and push away the gun or the fire truck. So yeah, when you have a kid, you understand the power that nature always beats nurture.
I'll give you a plug because we got to jump. It's Ami Horowitz, and you can see that. You can subscribe to his channel on YouTube and the website. I'm just going to spell it out. AMIHOROWITZ.com. Keep up God's work. Stay safe out there, man.
I love you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, it's funny. I had this thought, which is I'm the kind of, oh, come on, everyone doesn't have to put a helmet on to do everything these days. But I thought, you know, if I went to one of these big rallies or one of these big events that sometimes got out of control, I would like to be wearing a helmet.
Art?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Or my
Still flying
mom or
around
my
there.
wife would like me to bring security with me, but unfortunately, you oftentimes can't do it.
Thanks, Ami. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back, and I have, we got some calls, and I got some other ideas. We'll do that right after this.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Ace man, what's the difference between a garbanzo bean and a chickpea? I've never paid to have a garbanzo bean on my chest. Get it on.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
That's a funny joke. Probably heard it before, but it's still worth repeating. That's what good jokes are for. All right, let's see. We got some calls up there. Cesario's going to be with us soon, do a little Chet Waterhouse. And Max Zapata, we have a unprepared clip for later. What do we got?
We have NASA.
NASA.
Ooh.
Okay. Get that ready, and we'll talk to, let's see, I go to line 2. Talk to Derek and his wife. They're debating over the rules of leftovers in the fridge. Let's do it.
Hey, Ace, get it on. Just real quick, wanted to let you know I'm a proud card-carrying member of the Carolla Case Club, and
nice.
looking forward to the barbecue whenever we get to have that, man.
I think we're having it sooner than later, but who knows with all the COVID business. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Question.
And, I'm wondering if we can get an official ruling on what the statute of limitations is for leaving leftovers in the fridge before they're fair game. Are we talking 2 days, 3 days? A lot of arguments in the household about this, and we need an official ruling.
Before
I
they're
thought
fair
about
game to
this.
go in the garbage disposal or fair game for other people to eat?
Well, if you consider me the garbage disposal,
Yes, I do. Okay.
A little A, a little B.
I got to tell you, I went through this ritual for a long time because my family didn't cook or buy food or bring food home or do takeout or delivery or for the whole time I've been alive, I've never seen my dad take out Chinese food, for instance, or bring home doggy bags because we didn't go out to eat. So I would then go to other people's houses all the time. And there'd be like a pie from Dupar's, and it had, 2 slices left, and I wanted it. But if the pie was from the night before, then that was their pie. I had to wait it out. I think we had about a 3 or 4 day wait on Chinese food was the kind of the way we rolled. My feeling is, first off, Derek, did you pay for it?
Yes.
Then you should be able to eat it at the restaurant. You should be able to reach across the table and grab your wife and kids' food and actually eat it. As their fork is going toward their mouth, you need to grab their forearm and guide it toward your mouth. So that's my rule, number one. There's no rules for the person who pays for everything. I'm not down with this, although I sadly live with a bunch of these people. They have hey, we had Chinese food last night. We can't eat it 2 nights in a row. I'm like,
Same.
First off, who has a bigger population than China? Okay, those are the most people. And guess what those people do? They eat Chinese food every fucking night. So this notion, this first world problem, like we ate this last night, it's like, yeah, now eat it tonight. But I will accept the rule that they're not eating the same thing 2 nights in a row. But then the third night, it's incumbent upon them to eat that food because as you spill into the third and fourth, there's a fast drop off. So I would say you get the one night following the night you brought it home or the doggy bag or whatever it is, and then the next night, if they don't claim it, and you check with them, if they do not claim it that night, then it's yours. That sound fair?
I agree, because I was going to say the one thing that you hadn't added, which you did at the end, was you have to ask, because I parcel out my leftovers. I love leftovers. That's why I make giant quantities of food. People call it meal planning. That's a bullshit new term. It's leftovers. And if somebody were to eat my leftovers without asking me, that would be a deep betrayal of my friendship and my trust. So you must
So consent
ask.
plays a factor.
Yes. It cannot be non-consensual.
You can't Tupper rape. You have to. You have to ask before you burp that bad boy. Yeah.
Copy that. I've been woke. Thank you.
Yeah, but remember, if you and your wife take a couple out to dinner and you pay, you take home their leftovers, right?
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the guidance, Ace.
My pleasure. Yeah, I also have found through watching Olga will take something that's been in the fridge 4 or 5 days and then cook it, like boil it again or put it on a pot. I didn't know that it lasted longer that way. I wasn't aware of that. I just put it back in the microwave. Oh, on a fun food fact, in a new segment I like to call after I visit my parents, I like to call it taking it to the grave. My mom walked out onto the patio.
You don't know me, but I'm your brother.
Taking it to. She walked out with a big sack of granola. And she said, I'm going to have a little granola snack. Would you like some? And I said, no, I didn't get into the politics of it, but I haven't eaten granola in, 10 years. And so she said, oh, okay. And then she said, here's some granola if you want to take some home. I said, well, Sonny enjoys granola. Thank you. I'll take some home. And then she said, this is healthy granola because it's sweetened with maple syrup.
Oh, boy.
And I thought, wow, we're going all the way to the end with this. Yeah. And it's like, it's cereal. It's not Captain Crunch, and it's not Honey Chex or mini wheats or something, but it's your liver's processing it as a lot of sugar and a lot of grain. And
indeed, almost all.
Right, because that's all it is.
That's the new thing with food blogging, because I follow, you're not going to believe this, strap in. I follow almost exclusively food bloggers and kitten rescues. And 90% of the food bloggers always say, you can have this, it's healthy, it's better because it's, instead of sugar, it's sweetened with honey, monk fruit, or dates.
Right.
You just blend them up in the blender. That's the new thing.
Right. And all this is a version of your childhood in your Snackwell fudge cookies that were good for you or low cal or for the diet. That you don't understand. Okay. First off, it's the same weak part of the human brain that's doing the math on this, and we've all done it. Like you take some cottage cheese and you throw a few raisins in it, and it's like, and then you squeeze a bunch of honey on top of it. It's like, oh, now we're talking.
Oh, way better.
Yeah, right. So if it tastes really good, it's my kind of smoothie thing, which is if the smoothie tastes really good, then it's not going to be great when it hits your liver. And I don't know. And it's the same form of lying to yourself, but it's a more advanced lying. Like those guys would,
nuanced.
The guys that are cutting up the dates and putting it in their smoothie and using honey and using, carob instead of dark chocolate, they would make fun of the Snackwell Diet Right people, right?
Of course.
But they're doing a version. They're doing a sort of white collar version of the same blue collar crime, right?
Yes. And can I, just because we're talking about it, can I tell you what I've been doing a lot for myself and for the fiance and the boy lately? And it's just so fatty and savory that you don't need sweetener. My thing, and I'm sure Christy does this. I would imagine she does. Homemade, and it couldn't be easier, homemade whipped cream. You just take You just take the bowl and you put it in the fridge for like 5 minutes. You want a cold bowl. Oh. And then you just put your little whipping cream in it. That's important. I didn't know that, but that's important. Take a little bit of whipping cream and just, with just your hand mixer, your beater, just kind of go for it until you get soft peaks, not stiff peaks, I've learned. And you just dollop that on strawberries. I give that to the kid. Andy eats strawberries and yogurt every night, so I dollop that on for him. And it's just so yummy. It's not sweet, but it's yummy.
The deal is, I just did this the other night. I didn't know about the cold bowl, but I don't know. We had a little Olga bake me a birthday cake or something. And it's like, oh, we're out of whipped cream, but we have
no problem.
We have whole cream because I put it in my coffee. I just put it in a bowl and took the mixer, the hand mixer I used to do the frother, and just dropped it in. And the thing is it's so rich, it actually tastes sweet, but you don't need to add any sugar to it. So the question is does my mom not know this information, and has she never known this information, or does she just? It's so funny because it's like her whole life is a sort of a symbolic. Like in a way, I don't separate the granola from her making announcements like someone needs to do something for these indigenous people. Like, right, but she's never done anything for an indigenous person. She makes the proclamation. It's like, I'm eating granola. Okay, but you're eating cereal that's not good for you. And it's like, I'm eating granola. Like it's a way of doing what you want to do and not really having to deal with it. Right?
I think it's a generational thing. I think it's the devil you know. I think it's also a little bit of just they don't know. Like I had this almost exact same conversation with my mom this weekend. She came in town to visit, and she noticed that I've been losing a lot of weight because of the medication that I'm on. And she's like, I know you're on keto, but why don't you just have some beans or some whole grain pasta? I'm like, Mom, that completely defeats the purpose. But she meant well. Like she really was concerned about me, but I was explaining, like, no, this is important. I have to keep on this diet, but that completely defeats the whole purpose.
My mom says if you put syrup, as long as it's fresh syrup from All right, let's see. Yeah, maybe
sap.
I ran out of steam. Derek has got a question. Derek, Washington. Oh, wait, I just talked to you. Sorry. I want to talk to you at line 3. Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, 50. Minnesota.
Yep. Yeah, I was listening to Loveline in the late 90s, and I was delivering for Coca-Cola at the time, and you couldn't hit pause like you can on podcasts today. Mm-hmm. And you were telling a story about you caught your girlfriend cheating on you, and then you still tried to bang her later that night. And did I imagine that, or was that a real story?
Well, it's pretty real. It wasn't my girlfriend. It was she was in my book. I think there's a picture of her in my book, but she was like someone I was dating, and I was way out of my league, and it was a sort of a bad strategy when I was a poor, humble carpenter and had roommates and no air conditioning and stuff like that. I still like the hotties. And I should have been going for, I wanted the champagne on a beer budget, as they used to say, but I should have just cracked a Mickey's and went to the park and got drunk. My point is I like the hot chicks, and I could fool them for a little while, but I wasn't really boyfriend material because these chicks were like 27 and hot. And so they would date like rich guy producers and go out to sushi and live a good life. I'm not saying they're gold diggers. I'm just saying, like, hey, if you're hot, you're in Hollywood and you're an actress and you're 28, you want to get picked up in a busted down, Isuzu Trooper with a crank busted off the window and go through the Taco Bell drive-thru, or you want to go eat sushi with some producer who may be nicer than me anyway. Like, I'm not saying he's evil. He's probably a lot nicer. Go blow him. So it was kind of it was understood that even though I was able to kind of date, like, quote unquote, a couple of these gals, they weren't really my girlfriend, and I do remember. I think the story was I went to one of their apartment buildings once, and it was one with the security where you're like ringing the doorbell and stuff. And I didn't. She never answered the door. And then at some point, I went by the window. It was like upstairs or something, but it sounded like there's a little action going on in the bedroom. And then at some point, I came back an hour later, like rang the doorbell, and she like answered. Like well, I was like, "Where were you?" And she's like, "I'm just here the whole time." And I was like,
panting.
I think you may have been with like your ex-boyfriend or something. But then I thought to myself, well, I'm a beggar, not a chooser. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna have sex. I mean, if I can.
Thyself.
Yeah. I mean, if she's gonna let me.
Looking for scraps.
Hot is hot. Yeah. I was down with sloppy thirds. I'd skip right past the seconds.
Sex scavenger.
That's right. Yeah, like people talk about being catfished, when it comes to, online dating. I was literally catfishing. I was just trolling the bottom. I was just eating whatever droppings came off of the guy before me. So that was probably the story. I never really got to the bottom of it. And, she dumped me 2 weeks later, so it was kind of academic, and I didn't get a venereal disease, and I think she's passed away now. So,
Jesus,
yeah, sad. Mike,
Yeah,
Feel better, Mike?
yeah, feel better.
yeah, because I didn't know if I'd imagined that story because you always seemed so cool back then, and I didn't think you'd be the type of guy to be that desperate and stuff. And
No, I was.
that makes sense. now.
Oh, very much so.
was very desperate. Look, I wasn't interested in dating anyone who legitimately would have been interested in being with me long term. That wasn't my plan. My plan was
that a Groucho Marx thing?
Yeah, well, a little of it was I wanted to punch up. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
I didn't want to. I've always been that way. Like I didn't have any girlfriends in high school. There was one girl that liked me in high school, and she made it clear that she liked me, but she was like a 6 and I wanted an 8. And also her dad was a shop teacher who I hated. So I was like picturing meeting him, back at their house. And I was just like, well, just go home and beat off. I'm cool. But that's a wiring. It's not all guys are that way at all. Like most guys aren't that way, but I was like, I'm just going to wait around until I find something. It's better, but it was a long wait.
Boy, did ya. Yeah.
It's a long wait because I wasn't in any position to do anything. I didn't have any self-esteem. I didn't have any means. I didn't have any jobs or careers or, I didn't have any education. Like there wasn't much cooking in the Carolla department back then. So, by the way, when everyone does that thing, it was like, why'd you want to get into comedy? I wanted to be an attractive person to other attractive people was part of it. When you work on a construction site all day, it's not that attractive a target. Let's be honest. I mean, it all factored in.
How many guys get into bands because they like for the love of the music versus like I want to impress chicks.
Right. Yeah. There's definitely a thought there. Let's see. Last two real quick, Clay, 33, Portland.
Hi, Adam, Gina, and Brian. How you doing?
Good. What's going on?
Not too much. Just had kind of a question for you. I've been listening to you for a long time. Actually, there's a big gap. I was born and raised actually in Los Angeles in that area. And then was turned on to your podcast. And one thing I noticed that you said a lot is that you're really bad at reading, you aren't really educated, and so on and so forth. But I've noticed, and I went to like University of California and stuff like that. You seem to have a much higher vocabulary and a much more articulate way of speaking than most people. So I'm kind of curious, if you weren't a reader, how did you pick that up? I mean, you use words that my friends would never use. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of talk radio, always listen to smart people doing talk radio. I mean, if you could find Michael Jackson, the talk radio host we've played once or twice in our life, and you listen how articulate this guy is. He was an amazing interviewer, and I used to listen to him when I had all my crappy blue-collar jobs. And I just listened to a lot of people, so I didn't know how any of the words were spelled, but you could hear them in a sentence, by hearing these guys talk. And I always paid attention to it. I remember one time when I was a little kid, I had my grandfather, Laszlo Gorog. I'm thinking of him now because as I was leaving my mom's house, I paused at the woodshed. He had like a woodworking kind of tool room shed, and I just stopped and I walked into it. I hadn't set foot in there in, 30 years, and it smelled like the old shop that I could see my grandfather looking for something in the drawer. It had the same sort of tool chest, They kind of do, it's funny, you do this thing with people where like you look at pictures or you see their old gown or overcoat or something like that. Man, go into an old dude's workshop. Go into that workshop that you went into when you were 9, and the bench was over your head, and he saw him going, you got to use the right number, Phillips head screw, and the smell that all the wood gives off and everything. I know your grandpa had that kind of shop too, Brian. And it's like, it's just... He
had the little jars, like baby food jars, nailed to the ceiling with screws in them, so we could just take them off, get the screw, put it back.
And it had such a smell. And you have this visceral sort of sensation where it all just kind of rushed back. I just stood in there. Like I literally just opened the door and just stood where I would have been standing when I was 10, because I was very much into building and mechanics and stuff. And I don't know if you guys are sitting down, but my dad had no interest in building or tools. My grandfather had some old tools because
you should talk about that, man. Don't keep it bottled up. You should talk about it.
I got to respect the man. My great-grandfather was a big cement contractor who did lots of sidewalks and things in Hollywood and that kind of stuff, and an outdoorsman and all that kind of stuff. He and his son were that way. He died. Then his son killed himself, and then all the tools, the old school tools, went over to my grandma's house. So my grandfather had this kind of cache of tools, and I'm circling back to you, Clay. So I remember my grandfather, who spoke English as a second language and who was Hungarian. He would say things, he would use words like, if you said like, why don't we walk, or why don't we do it ourselves? He wouldn't go, no, it's too hard. He'd always say, it's too difficult. And I thought, even when I was like 10, I was like, I just say hard. So homework's too hard, or this is too hard. And he'd go, yes, it's not that difficult. And I thought, why is he choosing that word? And I just thought, because he's a writer and because he focuses on English because he had to learn it. He spoke Hungarian for the first part of his life, and then he had to learn to speak another language. And he's choosing better words than the people who grew up speaking this language because there's a little more precision to what he's doing, or appreciation or something. And I always kind of took that to mean something. I don't know what I was doing when I was 10, and he was saying difficult instead of hard, and I was kind of. I wasn't saying anything, but I was thinking about it a lot. And I don't know why I thought about it so much. I don't think he did the same thing in front of my sister. I bet she doesn't have a story to tell about difficult versus hard. But I took it to mean something, Clay. And for some reason, that's my wiring.
Okay. And I'm also kind of curious because I think I've heard you, and I think you're probably kind of half joking, say, like, well, I'm a Dumbo and it's this and that. I mean, do you really think that you are? Or do you really think it's just that you didn't have the access to the education that maybe other kids would have had? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's dyslexic.
I don't have anything really wrong with me. I have a very fast math brain, which someone should have probably figured out. I still do today. I can calculate things in my head pretty fast. But people weren't in the... we sort of talked in other shows, like now there's 1,000 craft beers, and it's great if you like a craft beer. And back in the day, it was like you went Budweiser, Coors, or Stroh's, Like there wasn't really... When I was growing up, it was like, look, let me see your report card. Okay, you're dumb. Who's next? And that's about it. They weren't in the business of the nuance business, like, well, let's see where this guy's head is at. Or, boy, he's pulling a 1.5 GPA, but he doesn't sound like it when you talk to him. He's funny or interesting, or he's got a good sense of humor. Like, none of that had any currency. It was just, people didn't care, by the way. The teachers, the counselors, they wanted to go home. I mean, I had a counselor, Mr. Tomey. I had a counselor where I was getting recruited by decent colleges to go for free on a football scholarship, and I never spoke to Mr. Tomey about it once. So it was a different...
That's a failing. That's a real failing.
I'd say it's a failing. Thanks, Clay. I appreciate the compliment. And my thinking really is not that I'm smart. I want to know kind of what's wrong with everyone else. Like, I don't think I'm that smart. I'm wondering where people are having a big disconnect, and especially in the logic department. We have a KBC clip of Michael Jackson doing an interview from probably 1987 or something, and I would have been listening in my little AM radio when I was on a job site.
There's a growing repugnance at the prospect of war, any war. General, we're told that the Warsaw Pact nations could overwhelm the NATO battalions. But our forces are nuclear equipped. So then, if that should occur, what will we do? Hand them over or fire them all? So we have callers who would like to share their concerns with you.
Right. Now you have to juxtapose that to me standing with Ray and Chris and them going, fuck you, douchey, fuck, shouldn't fucking doucher. Fuck
Get whiplash.
Fucking douche shit fucker. Fucking, I'm on a construction site where guys are like, give me that fucking plywood, douche fuck. Dead. And I'm listening to that in my ear the whole time.
In your ear talking about nuclear disarmament.
Indubitably.
Yeah, did you see how crisp that guy was? And I'm like, I think that's the way to do it, not the way my buddies are talking.
Eloquent.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's see. Oh, Benny Mardones is passed.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Robert, Castro Valley. Yeah, so somebody texted me that.
Yeah, I was just wondering what you thought about the legend of jailbait rock, Benny Mardones, passing today.
Well, it's a sad day for folks who enjoy statutory rape rock, one of the Mount Rushmores, or just maybe just Mount
More.
Mount underage more have died.
Some would say the ultimate Tool tune.
Yeah, it's
well,
sad
hopefully we can get a Toolbox tribute to Benny Mardones soon.
Because "Into the Night" is a great song.
It's a great song. Thanks, Robert. Okay. All right, Cesario's waiting. We're going to do a little Chet Waterhouse with him. First, let me tell you about Screwball peanut butter whiskey, man. This stuff is good. Perfect drink for your next virtual happy hour. We drink it here. You should drink it there. Well, first off, whiskey tastes good enough. You add peanut butter to it. I mean, you got the Reese's of alcohol there. Tastes amazing all by itself. You can do it neat. You can do it on the rocks. You can do it as a shot. I said when we had our last Christmas party, we pulled out a bottle of Screwball, and that's when the party started. Such a conversation starter as well. It was gone in seconds. We all took a hit. It is awesome. And you can mix it with a little, mix it with some Mangria for a delicious peanut butter and jelly shot. How about that? What do you say, Dawson?
Screwball, the original and most awarded peanut butter whiskey, is available near you. At 70 proof, Screwball peanut butter whiskey is the perfect shot or the perfect addition to your favorite cocktail. Pick it up at your local store or get it delivered today. Ready to #GetScrewed. Go to screwballwhiskey.com for more info. Enjoy responsibly. Advertisement by Screwball Spirits, LLC, San Marcos, California. Whiskey with natural flavors and caramel color. 35% alcohol by volume.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come in with Jeff Cesario right after this.
I'm Italian. Yeah, shocker. I know. Look at me. To this day, I show up at a beach in California, people just go, "Who called a cab?" Italian actors were either gangsters or morons, that's it. Either Tony Soprano or Super Mario. There doesn't seem to be anything in between. Think about it. Whenever they want to prove like an idiot simple point in a TV commercial, they get an Italian spokesman. They get an Italian, I mean like a Cro-Magnon idiot simple point. Italian guy, white t-shirt, blue jeans, one eyebrow straight across his forehead. Hey, Budweiser puts a cap right on the top of the bottle so your beer don't come out until you want it to.
Jeff Cesario on the Adam Carolla Show.
The album, which is out, What Was I Thinking? Available on Pandora, Spotify, and anywhere else you get music. Congratulations, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us. Play with Pain with Chet Waterhouse, obviously the podcast, available on Apple Podcasts as well. And now, speaking of someone who is 60-something but doesn't look like it, that is Jeff Cesario. How old are you, Jeff?
67, which is ancient, unless you're the Pope. Then people go, well, this kid's got some fresh ideas. So 67 is super young for a Pope.
I mean,
maybe that was the switcheroo. Maybe that was the bio switcheroo.
Are you? You've got to be nearing 50 years in comedy. I don't know if I'll call it show business. I don't know if were you doing sets when you were 17, 18?
No, I didn't get into comedy until I was 28.
Oh, you were doing music.
Metal fast. Yeah, I was doing music, and I was doing writing too. And most of the writing was, I was writing sports ostensibly, but most of it came out more like what I do with Chet. So my editors would always go, facts seem to be getting in the way, Jeff. Why don't you just try to write the funny stuff, and we'll figure out a way to run it. So I always thought in my heart of hearts, boy, I gotta try comedy before I turn 30, or I'm gonna blow my brains out. So I did.
It was funny. I was thinking about jokes or comedy and how it used to be. It was always a liability for me. I'd be sitting in class. That was my audience. I'd pop off. Everyone would laugh, and then the teacher would tell me to leave the room or sit in the corner like Brian or whatever it was. Yep. So meanwhile, there's this quality that's a good quality that can get you paid, but you're trying to tamp it down. That the teacher, that everyone is like, shh, you're unruly, disruptive. But I was thinking of the metaphor of, I have this Jufro now, and I've told you guys a story of my hair was straight when I was a little kid. If you look at the jacket of not Taco Bell material, you'll see a little 6-year-old kid with straight hair. And at some point when I was 12 or 13, it started curling up. And instead of going for it and just wearing it like I wear it now, I would go to the barber and I'd go, hey, cut the curls off. Like tamp them down, like hold them down, like push them down. And I realized I was doing with my hair what society was doing with my comedy. Like, cool it down, bring it down, come on, hold it down, get it straight. Just put a hat on. That's what every teacher and counselor I have is like, shh, shut up, put a hat on.
Yeah, comedy is life's cowlick.
I know it's been said many times.
Sticks up, man.
So, Cesario, what are you're not doing dates. Are you?
No, I can't go out.
You're writing.
We're waiting to EP. I'm going to executive produce Brian Regan's new Disney Plus project, which will be stand-up to sketch kind of show. And we're sort of sorting through the paperwork and figuring out when we can start and all that kind of stuff. I keep saying, it's writing at this stage. I'm pretty much doing that now. And, so let's get rolling. But, whenever you say let's get rolling to anybody in show business, well, they always, especially nowadays, they look at you like, well, we got to run this through the algorithms. What are you talking about? Let's get rolling.
It's kind of weird. I was just talking about Uppity, the doc basically going off with Koppelman and Billions and Showtime and wanting to do it as an episodic series on Showtime. And I was just talking to Nate, the director, co-director, and I was like, what is going on over there? Like, it's been a year. Where's the paperwork? Like, when are we going to get going here? And it's like, some guy named Ari's got some of the paperwork. And I'm like, what? Like, and I'm saying the same way, Mark. I'm saying the same way Jeff is saying, which is, look, I get we shouldn't be doing big old country shows in the news and all that, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about developing a script. You do it from your den. I feel like Hollywood, which was already a little bit lazy, just climbed into a hot tub, had a couple of daiquiris, and Mark and I don't say Mark, Jeff and I are walking up going, hey, what are we going to towel off and kind of get to getting? And they're like, slow your roll. We're pretty comfortable. Right. As a matter of fact, as long as you're up, the blender's over there. If you could just go ahead and top that off. Like, because it's true we can't do performing and things of that nature, but there's no reason why we couldn't be writing, finishing the contract, doing that. Everyone just got turned from, 78 to 38 or 45 to 38 or whatever. What were the record speeds? Oh, my God. Have I totally forgot? There was off at
78, 45, 33. Yeah.
33. Right. Yeah. So
it is a difference in work ethic. And so for a lot of people on that side of show business, that is the work ethic. Let's go to lunch. We'll talk it up, and eventually they'll panic when the pipeline finally does start to kind of dry up and there's nothing even in development yet for them to throw into the smelter and get moving. That's the only time they'll stop and go, oh, crap. What do we have?
Well, it's interesting.
So for them, this is the let's Bill over in analytics has to report back in, and there's a budget thing. They're all they're doing a Zoom thing on some of the things. So we'll get to it. And you just go, I don't know how as a self-starter, as a person who's self-employed, you set your own deadlines. Once you get used to that makes an incredible difference, because you're going even my kid will go, what's wrong? And I go, well, I got to finish this by tonight. And she'll go, why? And I go, well, there's a good reason. I have to. That's why.
Well, so it's interesting. It's kind of it's interesting that, the people who aren't out of work during the pandemic don't seem to have the same sense of urgency as the people that are out of work. And this is kind of a version of that. Like the executives that have a salary, they just have a salary. Mm-hmm. Mark, I don't want to keep saying Mark Cesario. Who is Mark Cesario? I don't know why I keep saying that. Maybe, Brian, I need a pet exist scan somewhere. Yeah, Jeff and I
can hook you up.
Jeff and I get paid. We get paid by the project. We're not getting paid for these projects if they're not moving ahead. And the guys that are in charge of moving them ahead are getting paid. So it's a little different metronome they have on top of their piano.
Yeah, good way to put it.
Should we do a little
little different pace?
A little Chet Waterhouse, which is my favorite, or Mark Waterhouse, as I now call it.
The sports with Chet Waterhouse.
Oh, brother, time for the Waterhouse update, brought to you by Maserati, the Jewish sports car. Baseball. 60-game season, that's shorter than a Fish concert tour. No fans in the stadiums, so teams say they will boo the Astros digitally. Ultimate Fighting. Dana White announced UFC 259 will be held on a giant toboggan during an avalanche in the Canadian Rockies triggered by Dana White's own anger. That wrap-up brought to you by Alpaca Lies, the throw rug made from pure alpaca. Or is it? NBA, set for a July start at Disney World, should dovetail nicely with poisonous snake season in Florida. NASCAR, FBI says the noose In Bubba Wallace's stall was just a garage door pull. And the burning cross, just an awkward cigarette lighter. That wrap-up sponsored by Baked Quinoa, the non-grain quinoa made entirely from bacon. NFL, Cam Newton agrees to a one-year deal with the Patriots. Said the devil, don't look at me, this was all Belichick. And finally, this week in sports history, the year 1991, the place London, England, Wimbledon, second round, 591st ranked Nico Brown beat 10th ranked Goran Ivanisevic by 4 syllables and an umlaut. This Waterhouse update brought to you by Roberta Flak Jacket. You're not killing me softly or loudly in my Roberta Flak Jacket. If you want more of me this weekend, I'll be in upstate New York for Desperation.com, doing the play-by-play on the first annual Riding Over Niagara Falls in a Barrel of Monkeys. Let's get this pandemic over with. This is Chet Waterhouse reminding you to play with pain.
Chet Waterhouse, sports.
Wow.
That was packed with too much good stuff.
Justin writing.
Do the Maserati send up at the top one more time, clean.
Brought to you by Miserati, the Jewish sports car.
Fantastic.
I love it. Roberta Flak Jacket. Oh, goddamn. Killing me softly.
Well done.
Yeah, man. That was killer. I
got Bob Saget this weekend on the podcast. Saget was great.
Oh, nice.
He came and he killed it.
He's a good dude, right?
Yeah,
like
really
him.
good dude.
Yeah, I think I don't know if the last time, not last time I saw him, but I think his had a sister, I think, that passed away of scleroderma, and
that is correct.
And he'd do the benefit every year at the Beverly Hilton, I think it was, or Wilshire, Beverly Wilshire. That's right. That's what now it was. I always remember all the events that take place at the Beverly Wilshire in the Grand Trianon ballroom, because my first job I had cleaning carpets was cleaning the carpet of the Grand Trianon of the Beverly Wilshire. So if I ever get invited to do an event or a charity or something and it's there, I always go, yes. And then I walk in and stare at the carpet the whole time and everyone wants to know what I'm doing. But
come a long way, baby.
Yeah, I'll tell you the thing that is weird, I guess, that the experience that I have that other people don't have is I'm from here. So most comedians and notables come here from somewhere else. So they don't drive around and pass their grandma's house and pass the liquor store they used to work at, past their high school, past the Taco Bell that rejected me, like past the old girlfriend's house. Like everywhere I go is just something reminds me. I think they call that being narcissistic. Either way, Chet, that was goddamn awesome. And
thanks.
As I always say, there is no faking that. You have to put time into it. And Jeff puts time into it. Obviously, amazing stuff. How's Regan doing? Where's he at?
He's doing good. He's in Las Vegas. That's where he lives, and they fortunately quarantined with his girlfriend, so they are together, and he's riding this out. You know, that's a guy who's a road warrior. Speaking of making your money on the road, he was a guy who was doing the road as his primary source of income when it wasn't the thing to do. Now, the last 10 years, it's come full circle for musicians and for comedians. And now the road is where you make the big money. So, you know, he's a guy who has his own tour bus. I mean, he has a rock and roll tour bus, and I'm sure he's just chomping at the bit to get some shows going again. He's got to be. I mean, he thrives off that live energy.
And he's smart because he quarantined with his girlfriend. I made the mistake of quarantining with my wife, and I'm fucked, you know. But he made a shrewd move at some point before the quarantine, evidently. Smart.
Well, there's a guy who believes in science. He saw it coming, and he planned.
That's right. That's right. Smart. All right, let me hit Geico, and then we'll break and do some news. Right now, Geico's offering an extra 15% credit on car, motorcycle, and RV policies. That's up to 15% on top of the Geico and the money you save already at Geico. So it's an additional 15%. So what are you waiting for? Get on it, man. Save some money. You got a car, you got a motorcycle, you got an RV, got a tour bus. Why not get Geico and protect it? Never been a better time to switch to Geico. Save the 15%, and you can do it. And they'll give you until October 17th. Oh, sorry, October 7th, a little earlier. Jump on that. Visit geico.com to learn more. All right, quick break. We'll come back with Jeff and the news right after this.
All right, and Gina, and Adam too, if Gina does the Jenna Marbles story, we did cut the 2.5-minute clip of her in Rode Hard with you and Larry Miller.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I do have it, so yeah, we'll see if we get that way.
Give me the news with Grad, news with Gina Grad, breaking viral, all those crazy Trump tweets. Give me news with Gina Grad, trouble in the Middle East, celebrity drunk meltdowns. Need news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Well, there's a few people we can always count on when things go crazy to give us a little bit of a laugh, and Sacha Baron Cohen seems to be at it again. Deadline reports that on Saturday, the comedian crashed a meeting of the Washington State 3%ers in Olympia, and it led to a sing-along and generally disrupting things. It's unclear if the appearance was an installment of the Who is America program. The first season aired on Showtime, but the comedian was creating his own brand of chaos at this meetup. It's called the March for Our Rights 3, which counters the 2018 March for Our Lives, which was the kids from the Parkland High School shooting in Florida. It's a pro-gun and staunchly conservative rally, which is why the sing-along efforts were all the more crazy. I don't know if you've seen the clip yet. We did pull some of it. So before this crowd of around 500 people, Sacha in just this, outfit, looks like he has a fat suit and a big red shirt and a cowboy hat and overalls. He goes after liberals and CNN and the World Health Organization, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Fauci, Bill Gates, and mask wearers. And the whole thing is nuts. And here's a clip.
What we gonna do then? Dr. Fauci, what we gonna do? Inject him with the Wuhan flu. Inject him with the Wuhan flu. Come on. WHO, what we gonna do? Chop them up like the Saudis do. Chop them up like the Saudis do. What we gonna do to WHO? We're gonna inject them with the Wuhan flu? Or chop them up like the Saudis do? Okay, let's hear it. Who wants to inject them with the Wuhan flu? Who wants to chop them up like the Saudis do? Chop them up like the Saudis do. Okay, you ready? WHO, what we gotta do? Chop them up like the Saudis do.
This went on for 8 minutes.
Who's
My
the
favorite
band?
part.
How do he booked him? He booked the whole band, right?
Yeah, unclear. They certainly knew the song, and the song goes on for a long time. So they're probably with him. My favorite part of the song is CNN's run by the you-know-whos. They all need the Wuhan flu.
I was trying to watch it, and it just wasn't that clear on my computer.
Yeah.
It was like, I wish we got a cleaner, like with all that effort and all that stuff.
I'm sure we will.
I wish there was a cleaner version of that.
It's possible, as Deadline suggests, that there are some cameras hidden hither and yonder.
You'd have to imagine.
I hope so, because I want to appreciate it in its full glory.
That's great about the musician angle, though. That's so funny. Hey, Eddie, I got a gig for us. We got to drive to rural Washington, but we only have to learn one tune.
Right.
Yeah, sure. I'm in.
and admittedly, the guy who ran the rally said, we got duped. It happens sometimes. So,
in a weird way, did they get duped? Like, I feel like they're just laughing and digging it. Like
they are.
It was win-win. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. So we'll see where that ends up. It usually ends up somewhere when it comes to him. As Chet told us, free agent quarterback Cam Newton has agreed to a 1-year deal with the New England Patriots. That's according to ESPN and, of course, many sources. Of course, he was released from the Panthers in March and will serve as the replacement for Tom Brady after his exit following 20 seasons with the Patriots. The contract right now, remember, it's only a year, but it's said to be worth up to $7.5 million.
Jeff, I read, is that the minimum for a veteran of his age or like of his service?
Boy, I don't know the minimums on that. I would imagine it's probably somewhere in that ballpark, but that's still a pretty healthy paycheck for one season.
That sounds like more than I know they have the league minimum. I don't know how it floats. Every year it goes up for an individual. I didn't know they even had that. I thought they just had.
I just saw someone
minimum.
mention that.
Oh, well, maybe it is.
But I don't know. I don't know that it's true.
I thought they just had a league minimum and they pay, the holder, the backup punter, whatever, the long snapper or something gets the league minimum. And obviously the superstars are the superstars. What is the league minimum, Maxipad? Does it float? Does it move around? Because it definitely could have changed from back in the day. Now, will he, so Cam Newton's an amazing physical specimen and talent. Will he be able to flourish with the Bill Belichick, if the right guy gets a hold of him? And Belichick certainly is that system,
Yeah, I think structurally Newton is designed for the offense they run. There's a lot of short dink passes to backs out of the backfield that take the heat off the quarterback. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of downfield throws if you have a quality tight end to the tight ends, and there's some deep shots. It's not an overly pass-heavy offense, actually. They rely on the run a lot. They rely on a lot of these dink passes to H-backs and stuff. And, James White has flourished in that backfield for 7 years, and on the strength of catching a 4-yard pass and turning it into 13 yards. So I think he could do really well.
Brian.
I've also seen a lot of experts say that the Patriots' pass-catching core, the receivers and tight end, are the worst in the league. And at Tom Brady's point, this point in Tom Brady's career last year, he was a game manager. He wasn't flinging it downfield and throwing for an obscene amount of yards. And that's kind of Cam Newton's game now. Structurally, his shoulder has not been there the last few years, so it behooves him to throw short passes, run a lot, that kind of stuff.
How long is
Plus, he'll bring to New England, he's going to bring things like hats and scarves as a fashion that they don't ordinarily have on the Patriots. Cut off sleeves, not in Cam Newton's lexicon.
Yeah, you mean Edelman wasn't the fashion plate that we'd all hoped for. Now, how long has Garoppolo been gone? 3 years? 4 years?
Two seasons.
Two seasons?
Third, I think.
This will be
the third? I think with the Niners, he got hurt 1 year, and then last year took him to the Super Bowl.
That decision I think maybe it's been 3. I don't know. But
maybe it's 2.5.
That me or him kind of thing that I guess happened over at New England with Brady and Garoppolo. That was basically kicking Leno out and replacing him with Conan. It was the opposite of that decision, but they both weren't great decisions. Garoppolo would be your starter now at New England, I guess. I don't know how the fuck things work.
I don't know. Young Jarrett Stidham has something to say about... Oh, apparently he doesn't have anything to say about any of this.
All right, what else, Gina Grad?
Well, sticking with the quarterback news, Colin Kaepernick will be the subject of a 6-part series produced by acclaimed director Ava DuVernay. That's going to be for Netflix. The series, called Colin in Black and White, will explore the quarterback's high school years, attempting to show the experiences and insights that led him to activism. According to ESPN, Kaepernick will appear as a narrator, with an actor playing him as a youth in the scripted drama of a black child adopted by a white family. And Kaepernick also EP it. It was written by Michael Starbury. No date for its release yet, but DuVernay and Starbury previously worked together on the Emmy-winning Netflix miniseries When They See Us, about the Central Park 5 case. So that should be coming soon.
If you took a documentary about Sundance, if you took a documentary about Sundance, the creators of Sundance, and it also just said, and you who are now reading this piece of paper that contains this disc about Sundance, directed by Adam Carolla, it would not be seen or shown at Sundance if Ava DuVernay put her name on a Space Saver Spare. It would get into Sundance. She has that much sway and juice right now. I mean,
there's a lot of buzz about it.
People love saying Ava DuVernay. I think, they like saying her name. This is my Mini Driver theory. Who are you working with? Ava DuVernay. Oh, awesome.
I got chills.
Who you working with? Mini Driver. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Cheryl Berkowitz. You don't want to work with her. You know what I mean?
Take her or leave her.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Adam, I'm going to recommend a documentary that I mentioned a long time ago, but you've been mentioning this subject a lot lately. I think you get a lot out of it, as will our listeners. It's really good. Official Rejection, kind of a behind the scenes. Here's what really goes on at film festivals. Here's how the prestigious films get in and other films get left out. Blah blah blah. It's streaming on Amazon Prime. It's called Official Rejection, and it's very, very good.
I shall watch.
Oh, let me correct two things. One, I was way off, stupid by me, but if you're a 10-year veteran in the NFL, your league minimum is $1 million, a little over $1 million.
That's offensive lineman pay there.
Garoppolo's been with the Niners for 3 years. He was traded, I believe, in the middle of the season in 2017.
He'll be entering his fourth, right? Right? Yeah.
Next year will be his fourth season.
Yeah. That it felt like there was one more year in there, but yeah, fine. All right, good to know. What's the league minimum then, Max Pata?
Well, for a rookie, it's $480, and then
okay,
yeah.
All right, getting near $500,000. What else, Gina Grad? So what is this? What is this? What is this Kaepernick six-parter? Where's it going to?
It's going to be on Netflix. There's no date released yet, but it's going to be called Colin in Black and White.
Yes, I shall be watching.
It's not a doc. Yeah, it's a scripted
series. Got it. I don't know what ESPN has in the pipeline. They did the Jordan thing, then they did
Bruce Lee.
Right, Bruce Lee, which wasn't that good, but that wasn't them. And then they did
Armstrong.
They did the Lance Armstrong thing. I was back with that. Now, are they done, or they're going to keep? Well, where's the stuff? Like, keep it coming, man.
They'll acquire movies like Be Water. They'll get sports-related content.
Yeah, I don't want to be a snob, but that one was not as good as the other two that they did. I like the stuff they do. You know what I was watching, which was really funny, and I think Jeff is in a unique position to appreciate this. They ran a whole marathon of This Is Sports Center and their little minute and a half vignettes or whatever.
Those are great.
Some of those things are laugh out loud funny.
They're legit funny.
Legit funny. Legit.
When it's like the apocalypse and Charlie Steiner has his tie wrapped around his head. Follow me to safety.
Yeah. There's a lot of good comedy there. And if you guys want to watch Terry Tate, Office Linebacker. I took a deep dive into that on the computer. I never get sucked into stuff. I watched 2 hours of Terry Tate, Office Linebacker. You'll get sucked right into it. It's such a funny campaign.
That was a minute-long Super Bowl commercial. It was a huge hit. And then it sort of dawned, and the news kind of came out to everyone like, oh, this is like an existing thing. Like they've done little short movies about this. It's a great character.
Max Zapata, find a Terry Tate, Office Linebacker.
Find the Super Bowl one, because that's so condensed and perfect.
Yeah. You could never do it again because he was just physically beating the shit out of everyone. But they just kept going. Like at some point, Terry got hurt, a new recruit, this white guy came in, and then there was some bad blood between the two of them. And it just kept going. You forget that and the Real Men of Genius. Super funny campaigns. All right, Gina, what else we got?
Well, since we're talking about movies and stuff, I might as well throw this one in there. We're now getting our first look at the trailer for Respect. That's the Aretha Franklin biopic starring Jennifer Hudson. And some people are already saying, even though they just put out the first trailer, that, Jennifer Hudson, of course, who earned an Oscar for Dreamgirls, nails the sound and the attitude of Franklin. I'll show you a clip of it in a second. The film is on target to premiere in December. It has Forrest Whitaker, Audra McDonald, Marlon Wayans, and Mark Maron. Here's a clip from the trailer. It's a hell of a trailer.
Looks great. The timing is horrible. We're not ready for a powerful black woman, and neither's the Academy. I don't think they're going to respond at all to this material. I just don't.
It's not the right time.
Maybe this will be a cult classic, I'm sure. Many years from now, we'll appreciate it.
But it's not going to garner any real attention from the Academy. Maybe if Ava DuVernay's name is on it, but not. Sorry, some redheaded guy with freckles going to take that statue home. Yeah, it's the time we're living in.
Donnie Most?
Donnie Most, who's now gray-headed.
He's going to take the statue.
We got the Terry Tate 60. It's so awesome.
So
but
great.
Also, I don't think you could have done this today, this whole character, but let's watch it. Sorry.
Starts out with
When we asked Reebok to send us Terry Tate, some people thought we were crazy. But I'm a firm believer in paradigm breaking, outside the box thinking.
Hey, buddy.
Break was over 15 minutes ago, Mitch!
And since Terry's been with us, our productivity has gone up 46%. We're getting more from our employees than ever before.
You know you need a cover sheet on your TPS reports, Richard. That ain't new, baby.
Hey, Terry.
Hey, Janice.
But what's really impressed me is how Terry's become part of the Felcher family.
You get high, baby.
He fits right in here.
That's a long distance call, Doug.
To be honest, I wish Reebok sent us 10 Terry Tates.
I want to play game machine. Well, when it's game time, it's pain time, baby. Woo!
One of the all-time greatest commercials.
The hits are so great. It's so
fucking killing people.
And they just kept going. He got injured and he had to get like a job in the mailroom and he was depressed and then they went home. At a certain point he went on
There's a story arc.
Oh, he went on vacation and he was trying to coach up the people in the hotel he was at in Mexico. Like it just kept going. I don't know how many episodes of Terry Tate.
That's impressive.
So goddamn
when
funny.
you're an actor and you're in a commercial and they hand you scripts like that, you go, oh, well, these guys know what they're doing. This is funny. It's so great to see somebody acknowledge, to see a company like Reebok go, yeah, this is funny. We're going to run with it.
The Max Pattis says there are 8, but I saw whole short stories and stuff on Terry Tate. But I don't know. Like, this is what I worry about a little bit. Like, somebody would have poo-pooed that idea now, right? Someone went like, yeah, I don't like the optics of a black guy. And I think he hit a woman at some point, or he
threw her into the fucking desk.
Threw her in a thing. He was mocking her. He's mocking that guy. Looks like he's Jewish. I just don't think so. Like, we don't want to put that forward. We're going to do... Subaru says they're made with love. I say our tennis shoes are made with love. That's a good campaign. Like this is the trickle down effect of what's going on now. It's all the people who go, I don't think we should do something like that. You go, yeah, but it's funny, right? And it's not hurting anybody. And it's like, yeah, but the optics. Yeah,
it's a tough call.
There are actually 9
That is
episodes.
a tough call. It's a pendulum swing, and it'll come back. It'll come back.
All right, hopefully. What else?
There's actually 9 episodes, and they're created by Ross and Marshall Thurber, who did Dodgeball and We're the
Went on to
Millers.
direct Dodgeball, yeah.
Dodgeball and what else?
We're the Millers.
Oh, that, yeah.
Well, in case anybody asks.
Yeah,
All right.
Well,
that's funny.
That's
Well,
why
speaking
they're
of
incredibly
that,
well written.
Speaking of the whole should we, shouldn't we, how does it age, we've come to that portion of the newscast. Jenna Marbles, who you might remember, she's was one of the most popular YouTube stars with more than 20 million followers. She's quit the platform over old videos that have some have deemed racist. She put out an 11-minute video. She's 33 now. She said she's going to move on from the website. She said, I want to hold myself accountable, and it's painful to do it. It's not fun, and it hurts. I'm ashamed of things I've done in my past. I'll show you a video in a second. So those things include donning dark makeup to imitate Nicki Minaj, and a music video where she makes fun of Asian men. The star, whose real name is Jenna Marbles, says, I don't know how else to say this, but it doesn't matter because all that matters is that people were offended and it hurt them. Here's basically the first minute from her 11-minute video.
Terry Tate's funnier.
All right, so I get it. Feel like we're at a time where we are purging ourselves of anything and everything toxic. And I'm being requested that I address things that I've done in my past. I also get a lot of tweets from people that are saying, like, we love you, you unproblematic queen, which always makes me uncomfortable because I'm a person. Those of you that are familiar with how long I've been on the internet know that that's not true, that I've definitely done things in the past that weren't great, and I'm not completely unproblematic. And I've tried my best to grow up and to be a better person.
All right, I get it.
And you
get the gist?
I get the gist.
This goes on for 11 minutes.
She was in, she seemed like she had a couple cats that didn't see the light, the filming light, the red light that's out front of the door there when you're shooting something. She was in Road Hard with me and Larry Miller, and I remember at the time, I don't know, we had the premiere or something, and I remember we invited her to a couple of events or a couple of things or a couple of whatever, and just never heard from her. Like, we never, radio silence. But we had the old Road Hard clip with her in it, so I thought, I'll watch a minute of it.
Let's see it.
Make me remember this. It was there because my character was sort of represented the past, and she represented the future of what everyone wanted, comedically. And it's funny now that she's been wished out into the cornfield with the old people. But here we go. Sorry.
Huh? Just drink it all in, baby. This is why I like to come up here once in a while. It's beautiful, So serene.
I don't need serenity. I need a gig.
What you need is some perspective.
You think I need perspective?
Baby, showbiz ain't what it used to be. We've all had to tighten our belts. Downsize. Sacrifice.
I've heard enough. Oh, yeah. Everybody's downsizing. You downsize anymore, and this time next year, there's only going to be a $500,000 car sitting inside your house.
You know how this whole thing with Bert made me look?
Ridiculous. Like you always look. Like you do in that fucking wig.
Really? Getting a lot of pussy with that Brillo pad, are you? Listen, Bert was livid. It was like you didn't listen to a word he said.
I got some bad information from a really sexy lady.
Oh. Hope you came twice.
I didn't even kiss her.
Jesus Christ. You didn't get paid? You didn't get laid? You broke every rule in show business.
I don't care. I got a better idea.
Oh, good.
I play a big local theater. The Wiltern.
The Wiltern? The Wiltern has 2,000 seats. You don't have that kind of juice anymore, baby.
I'm an LA boy. I'll pack them with my fans.
Let me explain something to you. Even though he's a dear, dear friend of mine, I just can't call Goldie and have him book you in the show. He's going to want to see a guarantee.
Like what?
Like, can you get Jerry Seinfeld to headline the show?
Thanks, dickhead.
Maybe I'll let myself in.
There she is.
Hey, look who's here. All right. Bruce, you know my newest client, YouTube superstar, Jenna Marbles.
Nice to meet you.
A billion hits, huh? A billion hits, that's a billion with a B. Come here.
Try and fuck me. I will slit your throat.
It'd be worth it. That's why the kids love her, by the way. Get in the car. We're going to lunch at the Ivy. Is she great? Well, you got the code. You know how to get out. So use the code and get out.
Hasn't taken me to the Ivy in 14 years.
Car's going down. How about you?
You're gonna fucking get pepper sprayed.
Oh, that's Jenna Marbles. I forgot how funny Larry Miller is.
Oh, my goodness.
That guy's great.
That's getting pussy with that Brillo pad.
And Jenna Marbles, and that's my old house where I put the Lambo in the den. It's functioning.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
It's the answer I give. It's my number one answer when people say to me, they'll say to me stuff like, I go, I'm going to put a basketball hoop over here in the garage. And I go, are you sure you can do that? Is it going to stay? I go, I put a fucking Lamborghini inside my house. I'll work this out.
Do you know what the people who have the house now have done with that raising platform?
I think they just boarded over it. I don't think they're actually
that's
using
insane. That's a shanda.
See, my dad would have loved that because he did the low tech poor man's version of that. We literally had like a half a Christmas tree on a closet door. And then when it was Christmas, he would open the closet door and there'd be the tree. Wow. So my dad would just create an entire nativity scene or whatever on that platform. Come Christmas time, boom, just bring it up, raise it up.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I think I like your dad.
Yeah, my dad was pretty
That's a good Tales from the Cheap.
You can watch Road Hard for free on Tubi.tv, by the way. It's out there if you guys want to enjoy that. All right, what else? One more, Gina Grad. So it's kind of interesting that the chick that was being used as the future to the old comedian is now old and getting pushed out to out to pasture as well, which is sad.
Well, we have some stories that we'll get up to them tomorrow. But you know what? Maybe just for fun, we can play these back-to-back Karens losing their shit stories. There's two big ones in the news, so might as well just show you the clips. First happened not far from my house. A woman lost it at a Trader Joe's in North Hollywood when she screamed at customers and employees after being asked to put her mask on while shopping. The woman said she had a breathing problem and that's why she took it off. TMZ reports the employees approached her, asked her to cover her face, but she refused. At one point, she started screaming at everyone, calling them Democratic pigs, and then this happened.
Wait a minute. Which one is that? I know
they just opened it. It was a grand opening weekend.
Oh,
it's a brand new one.
Oh, okay.
It's that NoHo West.
The new multi-use.
Where the old May
east side of the
Company
170
used to be. Oh, okay.
And there's a huge homeless encampment right there. It's beautiful.
That's true.
Jesus.
Someone on Twitter alerted us this is where the infamous naked run across the skating rink happened.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's where the old ice chalet or capades or whatever thing used to be. The old big rink. If you find MaxPad, the old May Company, Laurel, whatever mall, it was a big mall. The beginning of it had a bunch of little shops. There was a candy store. There was remember how quaint a time this was? A poster store. We'd like go in there and just look at posters,
racks,
like, hang in there, baby. Oh, Cheryl Teague's looking hot. And you'd sit there and dream about buying a poster one day. And the pet store was in there. And then you got to the end, and that's like where the May Company was. But somewhere in the middle was the ice rink.
Yeah, closed in 95, the Ice Chalet.
The Ice Chalet. Yeah, that's where it was. And the Trader Joe's is there now. Anyway, sorry, let's play.
Here's the first Karen losing her mind.
Y'all, Karen is showing out in Trader Joe's. She does not have on a mask, and somebody said, fuck you, leave, and she is having it out.
Now look at
Trader Joe's. We got it.
I have a breathing problem. My doctor would not let me wear a mask. So anyone harassing me to wear a mask, you guys are violating federal law. You get that? Get that on camera, ma'am.
Wow. It's sad.
So that's one.
But I have
in
a
our
boner.
backyard.
I have a boner for some reason, but still, she's a witch.
Oh,
but
then you're
still am rock hard, but she's the worst person ever. Oh, I just came, but she is a fucking pariah. Oh, I came again. Wow.
Yeah. Now that you're in your refractory period, I'll show you the other one. There's another one who lost her mind at, it seems like it's a Fiesta Market grocery store in Dallas.
You know what? Let me say this. Let me try to sound sensible for 10 seconds.
Okay.
I'm a guy who drives through red arrows and red signals, and I don't really do much shit that a lot of people would like me to do as a society. But I get it. Like, I'm not a mask guy. I'm not a hand sanitizer guy. I'm not anything guy. And I keep this old beat up mask and it sits in my car and I pop it on when I go into the Chinese food place and grab my takeout, and then I pop it back off again because I get it. Like, those are the rules for now. Those are the rules. That's what we've decided. We need to kind of there's a tear down the statue version of this and there's don't wear a mask version of this. We need to just sort of go, for now, this is kind of where we're at. The good news is there's a Trader Joe's and everything's cheap and it's really good and you get to go in there and get it. That's fine, but for the 26 minutes you're in there, you got to do this. I feel the same way about like airport security, and they're telling like, take shit off, take your belt off. Like, okay,
it's the social contract.
I get to Chicago in 4 hours from Burbank. That's good. And in the interim, I have to take my belt off. Now, do I need to take my belt off? Am I hurting anyway? No, this is just what I have to do. It's almost like It's almost like someone saying, just turn around 3 times and then we'll let you onto the plane. And then you go like, that's so unnecessary. Why are we doing this or whatever? And you go, it's just what we're doing for now. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's easier. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well, let's watch this one. She didn't like that by the time she got to the cashier, she didn't have her mask on. They asked her to do it. So like any other good citizen, she decided to take item after item out of her basket, throw it onto the floor and curse at everybody. Here we go. Throwing everything on the floor, yelling.
I don't give a fuck. Stop, Alice.
Wow. Wow.
That's cool.
My theory, I've always had a theory, which is women are quietly much more angry than men are. Everyone thinks about men being angry, but most of the women I know are quietly more angry than the men are, more volatile or something. There's something
brewing.
Interesting that this makes them snap.
Yeah.
This is essentially an extension of a health. I mean, it's no shoes, no shirt, no service.
Do you think it's because
you can't
when
walk
a woman
into a food joint and do something that is potentially unhealthy to other people? It's just you can't. That's America. If the guy doesn't, if the owner of the place, whoever they may be, doesn't want to serve you, they don't have to serve you. That's
no shirts, no shoes, no mask, no service.
So really, by saying I want to be able to shop the way I want to shop wherever I want to shop, that's really sort of a communist socialist approach. It's kind of weird.
Well, certainly anarchist.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's a gender thing? Because if a woman does it, it's kind of funny and we kind of roll our eyes. But if a man does it, it would be pretty like aggressive. If a dude just starts chucking stuff out of a basket and throwing it at people.
They did it. I mean, they closed the bowling alleys in Michigan and 50 guys show up with the AR-15s at the State House.
Point taken.
Right, but they don't squeeze the trigger, which is different, which is going to be my point, which is men have to regulate aggression early and often. Like, let's put it to you this way. It sounds like Jordan Peterson, but he's right. Like, I roughed house with my friends so often. We wrestled so often that you have to regulate all the time. You can't go. Think about that notion of wrestling with your friends when you're 8 years old or doing, I guess Brian would do a lot of WWE kind of
off
stuff.
The top rope.
All right. Yeah. So you have to totally you have to regulate a lot, because wrestling with a dude when you're 10 goes right up to the edge of like physically hurting somebody, headlocks and flips and pulling around and even punches and slap. But it's a constant regulation. I did so much battle with so many of my friends so often, and then sports is kind of that way too, like playing football or baseball or whatever. There's a constant regulation. So if a man is physically disciplining their kid and they're swatting them, there's a big regulation of like how hard do I go? I can't go that. I could physically go hard enough to break a bone, but I have to regulate. I have to reel it in. So there's kind of a self-regulation that goes on all the time. And whenever I've been hit by women, or I've seen women like discipline their kids and stuff, oftentimes they just go toggle switch. They don't go dimmer switch. They just go pow, just right there, just pow. Because I don't think they've lived a life of physical sort of restraint. So when the snap goes, there's no half-speed snap.
That's a good point.
And I think there's some of that.
There's no practice. There's no rehearsal.
They go right to swinging the helmet.
I will tell you that I've learned it because I used to I realized that if you stepped on a dude's foot, you'd get a, hey, dude, or whatever, like a little shove or whatever. I found when I did it to a woman, I got a full punch or like a hard kick to the shin, like an overreaction to this pain that I'd caused. And I now realized there's not a regulation. There's not a physical. You can, I live with a person who she's given away 75 pounds to me and doesn't always have a respectful tone. I have to regulate. It's a constant regulation. You see what I'm saying?
So you're saying this so-called skill level of regulation that men have, if we'd only somehow taken this into the bedroom,
that's
there would
right.
be like probably zero problem.
The last frontier.
That's right.
We could have applied this amazing discipline of gradations of regulation.
That's right. The dimmer switch.
I got some interesting intel on the first Karen, by the way, from former guest Steve Hofstetter. He retweeted a friend of his who was there when the whole thing happened. She was in the express lane when this whole thing was going down, and she's like, "This woman," and it's actually been tweeted by a few other sort of like celebrities because it's North Hollywood. There's a lot of people who live in the Valley who are like comedians or actors or whatever. This woman was wearing her mask in line for 15 minutes or whatever it was, waited until she got in the store, took the mask off, and was apparently walking like super close to people, trying to aggravate them. And she had nothing in her basket the whole time. She walked around for like 10, 12,
So it's an audition
minutes.
tape.
Yeah, it has been, Brian. Yeah, to Brian's point, people have been saying it was staged. Not that anyone else was in on it, but her. But that this was her intention to disrupt this.
Let me hear.
day.
By the way, Steve was in Road Hard, so now we're coming full circle. Let me just hear the beginning part of that. Turn the volume up. The first Karen. I had a thought, and I don't know if you guys are with me on this idea or not, but we don't have it, or we do have it.
Y'all, Karen is showing out in Trader Joe's. She does not have on a mask, and somebody said, "Fuck you, leave," and she is having it up.
All right. Now, we can't see who's filming, but it sounds like a man of color, just with the y'alls and I don't know who was holding the camera and who was narrating. But can we? It's always better if a black man or woman is talking who's holding the camera. I'm sorry, Maxipata, but the Asians. Jews, Eastern Indian, even the white dudes, you know what I mean?
Nobody ever watches my videos.
Right. What I'm saying is, could we have an app on your phone that made you sound like a sassy black woman when you're videotaping people fighting? Do you know what I mean? Could we filter it that way? It's always better.
Oh, that'd be great.
It's always, yeah. Sorry.
There's an amazing level of cool that people now have with their phones. I'm still old school, and I would just go off even if I was attempting to film somebody. I'm sure I would fumble my phone out of my pocket and drop it, and just
tape yourself the whole time.
Rip somebody a new asshole verbally and make a complete idiot out of myself in the process. But everybody's so cool now. They go, "Oh yeah, we got it. No worries, we got it. You'll be on the internet."
And I've always said. You thought when they started putting surveillance cameras up at liquor stores, that would be the end of people robbing liquor stores. We are look, it's like me putting a security camera up in my backyard and expecting my dog not to take a shit in it. Like we are utterly unaware of everyone filming us everywhere now, or have no interest. We have the same relationship as the Kardashians do. We're going to do whatever we're going to do anyway, and you shall film us doing it. I always thought the filming would shame people into tamping down whatever that is. All right, let's bring it home,
Ain't no
Gina
shame.
Grad. Ain't no shame.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad. That was the news with Gina Grad.
Last but not least, Simply Safe. Don't feel unsafe at home. Get yourself some Simply Safe. That's what we all use here. SimplySafe.com/Abs, where you go. Free shipping. Protect your home today and get started at SimplySafe.com. D.L. Hughley is going to be on tomorrow,
nice.
so he's got a story to
Oh,
tell.
the best.
And he played Nashville the week before the famous collapse. So we'll talk to him. Tested positive. I'm curious about all that stuff for tomorrow. Cesario, new stand-up album. What Was I Thinking? It's available on Pandora, Spotify, and anywhere else you get music. Always great with Jeff Cesario. And you can go to AdamCarolla.com for all my live stuff and get my new book, I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, out as we speak. And until next time, Adam Carolla for Jeff Cesario and Gina Grad and Paul Bryan saying mahalo.